Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I've decided I'm bored, so I'm going to make a little Japanese maple bonsai in one of my little homemade clay pots. So I'll show you how I made these at some point. I haven't really perfected the firing method, but I got lucky and this one fired perfectly fine. So it's got a really big hole in the bottom, so I've got to find something to cover that up with because I haven't got any mesh or anything. So I'm going to go choose a little Japanese maple seedling. I've got some 1-2 year old seedlings out there. So I'll choose a nice one and I'm just going to pot it up in this little pot and maybe put some bits of wire on it and try and make it look nice and start off training to be a nice little bonsai. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I'll spin you around. We'll go choose a seedling and I'll get back to you in a sec. So, just show you the pot quickly. It's just made using the clay from our garden, and I've fired it in a metal bucket with some charcoal. Fired nice and hard. It's nothing special, I just knocked it up. And the hole's a bit big really, but at least it will drain well. So, I haven't got any mesh, like bonsai mesh or anything, so I'll find something to cover that hole with, just so the soil doesn't wash straight through it. As you can hear, probably, the weather's absolutely diabolical today. All my Japanese maple seedlings are out there, so I've got to brave the rain and go and choose one. And we'll pop it in that pot. I'll take it out of the pot. We'll sort the roots out, get it in that little bonsai pot, and then we'll have a look, see if we need to put a bit of wire on it and start it off on its bonsai journey. As you can see, it's an absolute mud bath out here. I've got these rubber mats on here, it helps, but still it's just a squelchy mess. We'll go choose a seedling. These are all grown from seed. They're between 1 to 2 years old, coming into their 3rd year, some of them. I can't remember what's what, but so I'll choose a nice little one with some good branch structure. I'm thinking this one looks quite nice. I've already got a bit of wire on there, just a bit of garden wire, so I'll take that off and we'll redo it, come up with a better shape. That one also looks pretty good. I don't want to put anything too big in there. I could take one of these out, but they've got no lower branches, these ones. Well, they have, but they're only tiny, so I think I'm going to go for this one. So we'll take it back into the greenhouse. It should fit that pot quite nicely. They do grow quite slowly, so there's not a huge amount of roots on them. I know that because I knocked this one over and it basically only had a little tiny root ball underneath. Probably over potted them, to be fair, but anyway, so we'll take it into the greenhouse and we'll have a look. I'm getting soaked. Right, so we're back in the greenhouse. I'll get this pile out of the way for a minute. Get rid of that one. So here's the seedling that we chose. I think this is a 2nd year seedling. It might be a 3rd year actually. The 1st year they tend to just grow straight. 2nd year they tend to grow a few little branches. So I think it's coming into its 3rd year. So it's got some, it has got some branches, so that's good. Obviously they're not much yet. I'll get this bit of wire off and we'll get it out of the pot. I'm not expecting a huge amount of roots in there, but we'll have a look and see what we can do. Should fit in that pot quite nicely. Okay, so first thing I want to do is get this wire off. I've got some nice aluminium wire here which I want to use instead. Get this plastic coated steel wire off because it does tend to rust and it's not really great. It was all I had at the time, so I'll de-wire this. Unwire, de-wire. So it's just a case of untwisting it all very gently. They're quite delicate, but they're also really flexible at this stage, so it's a good time to get some movement into it. I'll get this wire off, and then we'll get it out of the pot and have a look at the roots. Right, so I've got the wire off. It's held its shape. So got some nice twists and bends in it. So the next thing to do is to get it out of the pot. Just get this out of the way. So all these white roots are from weeds that are in there, by the way. They're not actually the maple's roots. These things, whatever they are, they have these horrible white roots. It takes over the whole pot. So we'll get rid of them. And I've got my little stick. Just going to scrape away in the soil. I don't want to cut any roots really, but I'm going to have to get rid of the majority of this soil. You may not need to bare root it 100%. See these roots here, look at them. They're all from them weeds. And the whole pot was overrun by them. So it's probably no good for the tree anyway, so it'd be nice to get it out of that soil. It's quite gritty soil. I put some horticultural grit in there, and it's just mixed with compost as far as I'm aware. I don't really remember what I did when I potted these up. But soil's not really too important to me. So it's just a case of working away at this to get rid of the soil. As you can see, there's not massive roots on it. They grow really slow, the Japanese maples, and they don't really seem to grow huge amounts of roots. So this is why I thought I'd put one in this little pot, because it'll probably be fine in there for a good couple of years at least. And if I keep it pruned, I could even grow it in there and keep it as like a little, I think it's like marmee or something they call it. Anyway, so that's most of the soil off. Don't really need to do much more than that. I'm just trying to get rid of all these white roots, which are from the weeds. You can see the difference. These roots here are not part of the Japanese maple. They're from the weeds. And they'll probably regrow if I don't get them out. I haven't cut any roots. Don't think I've damaged any either. So that's that. It's quite a nice little root system on it already. So I don't think I need to prune any. I mean, I could take off these two top ones. They're a bit higher than the rest, but it doesn't really matter at this stage. More than white roots in here. Okay, so there's the tree. So let's try and get it into this little pot now. I'll just give you a little close-up of the tree now that we've bare rooted it, and actually standing up on its own. No, it's not. So there's the roots there. Could probably prune some of them a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to. Might just trim off the ends of the long ones before we put it in the pot. It was standing up on its own a minute ago. Buds are just swelling, ready to spring back to life. So it should fit in here nicely. I've just got to find something to cover that hole up with. And then I'll probably prune it back a little bit. Doesn't need to be that tall. Alright, so I'm ready to get it in its pot now. I'm just looking at the roots again. Hopefully you can see. There's a few thick ones at the top here which are kind of annoying me. So what I think I'll do is I'll prune them off. These 3 top ones here. And this one on the other side. And then we've got a bit of a better radial root system. And then I'll just prune them back a bit. Hopefully the tree will still be fine. It should be. Should be more than enough roots there to keep it going. So we're ready now to get it in the pot. So I haven't got any mesh, like I said. So what I've come up with, it may sound a bit silly, but it's all I can find, all I can think of. This is the top of the pepper shaker, and I'm just going to place it in the bottom there and put a layer of soil on to hold it in. I'm not going to tie it or anything. I'll try and get you a better angle, and then we'll get it in the pot. Okay, so just put a bit of soil in the bottom here. And then I'll mound it up in the middle. That should hold the drainage screen in. And I'll try and get all the roots to be going out radially. Poke them down the edges. Like so. And then I'll just fill in with some soil. So this soil is just compost mixed with grit. It's not bonsai soil. I haven't found it necessary to buy any bonsai soil yet. I'm a bit tight when it comes to spending money on things, so I like to use what I've got. Whether you agree with that or not is up to you. My trees seem to do perfectly fine in just a gritty compost mix. Sometimes I'll use some perlite. There's probably some perlite in here. This is recycled soil as well. So I'll just fill it up. Poke it down as I go. Try and make sure there's no air pockets. You hear that rain out there? Hopefully it's not too loud for you. Hopefully you can still hear what I'm saying. It's a bit rough out there at the moment. So that should drain really well with all the grit in there and that screen on the bottom, the big hole. So I'm not too worried about that. So there it is, potted up. Hopefully you can see it okay. What I want to do now is just prune the top back a bit. And then I'm going to put another bit of wire on it, just adjust the shape a little bit. Okay, so there's the tree as it stands at the moment. So it doesn't need to be this tall, so I think I'm just going to cut it back. I've got this branch here, a branch here, two coming out there, so we can use one of them as the leader, take that one down as another branch at some point. And we've got a tiny little branch there, so I don't want to cut it right back to here because it might die off to there, so I've got a branch to there, so I'll cut it in between them two. Just take off that bit. Probably would be able to grow that from a cutting, but I've got enough Japanese maples at the moment. So that's the tree now. Yeah, but I want to adjust the shape a bit, and I want to get a bit of wire on there. So that's what we'll do next. It should be quite flexible still. Which it is. So I've got some aluminium craft wire. Can't remember, I think this is 3mm. So I'm going to try and put that on there. Right, so we get a bit of wire on there now. Don't know how big it needs to be. Not that big. Doesn't really need to go all the way to the top. What I want to do is make sure it anchors well as well, so I'm going to get it right down to the bottom of the pot. And I'll put a little bend in it so I can hook it right underneath the roots and get it right down into the soil, because it'll also stabilise the tree as well, hopefully. I'm going to try and hold it still and wrap this round nice and tightly. Kind of doing it the opposite way to what feels natural, because I'm trying to keep out of the way of the camera. So I'm using my left hand and it's going counterclockwise, but makes no difference. So if I can, I'll get this all out to the end. Put a little loop to terminate the end of the thing. Okay, so that's that bit of wire on. Not the best wiring job in the world, but should be adequate. It's quite sturdy in that pot now, so should be fine. So now I'm going to try and adjust the shape of it. What I found works is to twist it at the same time, so you're kind of tightening up the direction of the wire rather than opening up the loops of the wire. So I want to get as nice, as harsh a bends as I can, really. There's no particular style in mind, just going with whatever. Getting it into a nice compact coil. I mean, you can. That's the beauty of bonsai. You can do it however you want, and no one can say it's right or wrong, because it's entirely your choice. I've got to pull the top back up. The only thing I'm looking at now is where these branches are going to be facing. That one's kind of okay there, I guess. I'll have a little play and then I'll get back to you and show you what I've come up with. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. So let me know what you think, if you would have done something differently. I could wire these little tiny branches, but I think I'll just leave them for now. They're just so thin, I'll probably end up breaking them. So I've only actually got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a tiny branch there. So 5 branches on this tree at the moment. There's 2 opposite there, which I'm not too worried about. Like I said, I can always pull one up to be the leader and that down later on. Depends if any of it dies back or if it even survives. We'll just leave it alone now. I don't want to mess with it too much. But that's what I've come up with. So, like I said, let me know what you think. Comments down below. Okay, so this is what we come up with today. So should be quite nice. Hopefully it will survive and start growing nicely. The buds are just about to start breaking, and I'm going to keep it in the greenhouse now. We've still got a good chance of a few more frosts yet. We're only just past mid-February, so our last frost date's April, sometimes even May. So I'll keep it in here, keep it protected. Hopefully the roots will fill the pot nicely and it will start growing well, and I can update you in the spring. But let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.